Hey everyone, last time we talked about multiplying and dividing rationals. Today we're going to talk about adding and subtracting rationals. So how do we do this? Well, since they're fractions, we have to treat them like fractions. We're going to factor everything completely. That's what we always do with rationals. And because they're fractions, we're going to find a common denominator. That's one of each factor from the bottom. What if you have the same factor with different powers? Then we use the largest power. We write as one fraction over the common denominator. We leave blank parentheses next to each term on top to fill in. We determine what we need to multiply to each top to balance what we did on the bottom. In other words, we're going to fill in the parentheses. And finally, we're going to combine the top, but we're going to leave the bottom as factors. So let's try this. Factor. I don't have anything to factor, so I'm done. Step 2, common denominator. I have two factors, x plus 7, x minus 8. The old top was 3, I'm going to leave a blank, plus 4, and I'm going to leave a blank. The 3 was already over top of the x plus 7. What's the 3 over top of now that it was not originally over top of? X minus 8. The 4 was already over top of the x minus 8. What's it over top of now that it wasn't originally over top of? X plus 7. Clean up your top. That is 3x minus 24 plus 4x plus 28. So that's going to be 7x plus 4 all over top of x plus 7 and x minus 8. I found a common denominator. I put my tops that were there already there. I filled in what they were missing, and I simplified the problem. Let's try another one. This one's not factored, so I have to start out by factoring. That's x minus 2, x plus 1. That's x plus 3, x plus 1. So what's my common denominator? I want one of each. So it's x minus 2, x plus 1, x plus 3. I don't need an x plus 1, I already have it. 3 minus 5. The 3 was already over top of the minus 1 and minus 2 and the plus 1. It's now over top of an x plus 3 that it wasn't originally over top of. The 5 was already over the x plus 3 and the x plus 1. It's now over top of x minus 2. If you clean your top up, that's 3x plus 9 minus 5x plus 10. 3x minus 5x is negative 2x plus 19 all over top of x minus 2, x plus 1, x plus 3. Factor, find a common denominator, one of each. Put your tops, fill in what was missing, simplify the top. You have to factor. X plus 4, x minus 3, x plus 4, x plus 4. So this one is really x plus 4 squared. So let's take a look at this problem. What's the common denominator? Well, there's an x minus 3, and there's an x plus 4, but there's a couple of them. So I use the biggest power. What's the biggest power? X plus 4 squared. I have an x minus 1, blank parenthesis, plus x plus 3, blank parenthesis. The x minus 1 was over 1x plus 4 and 1x minus 3. It's over 1x minus 3, but it's over 2x plus 4s. So it needs an x plus 4. The x plus 3 was already over top of both x plus 4s. It needs an x minus 3. That's the hard part. Now clean it up. FOIL. X squared plus 3x minus 4 plus x squared minus 9 all over top of x minus 3, x plus 4 squared. That's going to give you 2x squared plus 3x minus 13, all over top of x minus 3, x plus 4 squared. And that's your answer. So in that one, because x plus 4 squared was the biggest power, I used x plus 4 squared, not just x plus 4. So again, factor, common denominator, use the biggest power, figure out what you were missing, distribute your top, and simplify your top. Let's try this one. Factor, that's x plus 3 times x plus 3, or x plus 3 squared. This is x plus 3 times x minus 3. Common denominator is going to be x minus 3, and x plus 3, and the largest power is squared. The x minus 2 plus the 4. The x minus 2 is already over the x plus 3 squared. It needs an x minus 3. The 4 was over 1x plus 3. It needs the other x plus 3. That's x squared minus 5x plus 6 plus 4x plus 12, all over top of x minus 3, x plus 3 squared. Keep cleaning up your top. You get an x squared minus an x plus an 18, all over top of x minus 3, x plus 3 squared. So how do we add or subtract rationals? We factor, we find a common denominator, we fill in the tops, whatever they're missing, we simplify the top and leave the bottom be. If you have any questions, come talk to me, guys. Thanks.